Hey everyone. Not sure if this belongs here, but I need to get this off my chest because I feel like I'm either losing it or my wife is purposely ignoring something that's right in front of us. We just moved to New Orleans about 3 weeks ago. Finally scraped enough to buy a little shotgun house near Magazine Street, close enough to walk to District Donuts if we want, but far enough that parking isn't a war zone. It's not huge, but it's ours. And after years of renting apartments with leaky AC units and neighbors who treat laundry rooms like personal ashtrays, I was psyched. Except our new neighbor. His name's Ray. Late 50s, maybe early 60s. The kind of guy you'd expect to see sitting alone at a Waffle House at 2 a.m. stirring his coffee without drinking it. Bald on top, but rocking a greasy ponytail in the back. When we moved in, he came right over, introduced himself, and offered to help. But he didn't actually help. He just hovered around Jess, my wife, commenting on how her laugh sounded familiar and asking where she bought her perfume. It wasn't just small talk, it felt like, I don't know, like he already knew her somehow. I brushed it off. We're new here. Maybe that's just how people are. Southern hospitality, right? Except he's not hospitable. He's creepy. The first 2 nights, I caught him standing in his darkened window across the street, just staring at our house. No lights, no TV glow, nothing. Just him. I joked to Jess about it, but she said I was being dramatic. "He's probably lonely," she said. "Don't turn this into a thing." Okay, sure. Except yesterday, while we were putting together a dresser, IKEA, so yeah, lots of swearing and Allen wrenches, I noticed movement on our porch. I pulled back the curtain, and there he was, peering in. I stormed outside, ready to chew him out, but all he said was, "I used to live here. I like to check how she's holding up." She. He called the house she. Jess told me to let go again, that he's just eccentric. But last night, when I took the trash out, I heard someone whispering her name by our fence. Not mine, not hey, just Jess's name, repeated, low, like a prayer. And tonight, when I came home from work, there was a small paper bag on our porch. Inside, a dead sparrow. No note. I haven't told Jess yet. What do I do?
Jess and I went to bed around midnight. She'd had a couple glasses of red wine and was passed out almost instantly. I was lying there, scrolling through my phone. Yeah, I know, bad habit, but doom scrolling beats insomnia. When I heard something outside. Not like a raccoon knocking over the trash cans. More like pacing. Slow, deliberate footsteps on gravel. I peeked through the blinds, and yep, Ray was in our yard. Not on his porch, not across the street. In our yard, walking around barefoot like he was checking property lines only he could see. His head was tilted back, and I swear his lips were moving like he was muttering something to himself. I shook Jess awake, whisper yelling like, "He's here, he's literally in the yard right now." She was groggy, didn't want to get up, kept saying I was blowing things out of proportion. By the time she looked, he was gone, of course. This morning, I found footprints in the dirt near our fence, barefoot footprints. I showed Jess, but she just shrugged, said maybe some kid wandered through. Babe, we don't live in the French Quarter. Random barefoot kids aren't sneaking into fenced yards at 2 a.m. And here's the kicker. Taped to our back door handle was a Polaroid photo. We don't even own a Polaroid camera. The picture? Jess, from behind, taken yesterday when she was unloading groceries from the car. She didn't even notice someone was there. I tried to push for calling the police right then, but Jess begged me not to. Said we don't want bad blood with the neighbors this early after moving in. She doesn't get it. This isn't bad blood. This is obsession. I'm scared that if I don't do something soon, he's gonna try and come inside. And tonight, as I'm writing this, I just heard our back door handle jiggle.
Last night was the first time I genuinely thought we weren't going to make it till morning. After I posted the last update, the back door handle kept jiggling. Not like the wind or the old house creaking. This was a slow, deliberate, metal-on-metal sound. Jess was still asleep, wine coma, so I grabbed the nearest thing I had for self-defense, a Louisville slugger bat I keep by the nightstand. I crept down the hallway, every step making the floorboards squeak like a horror movie cliché, and peeked into the kitchen. The back door windows got one of those cheap, foggy panels. You can't see clearly, just shapes. But there was a shape there, a man's outline, motionless. Then, tap, tap, tap. 3 soft knocks, like a kid trying to get your attention without waking Mom. I yelled through the door, "Get the hell off my property or I'm calling the cops!" The silhouette didn't move at first. Then, super slowly, it turned its head sideways, like it was listening to me from underwater. And then, it just slipped away. Not walked, slipped. I called NOPD immediately. They sent a patrol car, but by the time the officers arrived, of course, Ray was gone. They took a statement, looked at the Polaroid, and one officer basically shrugged and said, "We can't prove it's him." Jess stood there embarrassed, like I was the crazy one. When the cops left, Jess and I fought. She accused me of escalating things, said I was feeding his energy and making myself paranoid. She thinks maybe Ray's just lonely and mentally off, but harmless. I don't even know how to talk to her anymore. This morning, I checked the back door again. On the outside of the glass was a greasy handprint, long fingers smeared like he'd pressed and dragged them down. We don't have kids. We don't have visitors. I'm on edge constantly now. Installed one of those cheap Wise cameras I grabbed at Target. I'm streaming it to my phone as I write this at work. And just now, no joke, I got a notification, motion detected, back door. It's not Jess. She's at yoga. I click the feed. Someone's standing there right now, just out of full view of the camera, only a shoulder and part of a ponytail visible. It's him. I don't even know where to start with this one. This morning, I thought I was just a guy with a creepy neighbor. Now I'm not sure if my own wife has been lying to me. So, after I posted update 3, I left work early. I couldn't focus. My phone kept pinging with Wise motion alerts. Every time I checked, the camera caught just glimpses of someone moving at the edge of the frame. Shoulders, hair, a sleeve. It's like Ray knows where the camera is and is deliberately avoiding it. I pulled up to the house around noon. Jess's car was already in the driveway. She shouldn't have been back from yoga yet. When I walked in, the house smelled like that weird old perfume scent Ray had commented on before. Sweet, but heavy. Jess was in the kitchen, wiping down the counter like nothing was wrong. I tried to play it cool. I asked how yoga was. She said she didn't go, said she wasn't feeling well. My stomach dropped. "So, who's at the back door then?" I asked. Her face went pale. She didn't say a word, just kept wiping the counter. I went to the back door, yanked it open. Nobody there. Yard empty, fence gate wide open. When I came back inside, Jess was sitting at the table, staring at her hands. "We need to leave this house. Tonight." I asked why, and she wouldn't look at me. She just whispered, "He's not supposed to find me here." I swear to God, I felt the room tilt. What do you mean he's not supposed to find you here? I asked. You know him? She finally looked up. Her eyes were full of tears, but also something else. Guilt. She said, "He's not who you think he is, and he's not going to stop until he gets what he wants back." Before I could say anything, we both heard it. A soft knock, knock, knock at the front door. Not the back door. The front. I peeked through the peephole. It wasn't Ray. It was a woman. Old, pale, stringy gray hair, wearing a faded saint's hoodie. She looked right at the peephole like she could see me. She whispered something through the door. It sounded like Jess's name.
I don't even know how to write this without sounding like a bad Netflix show, but I'm just gonna type it all out while it's still fresh. After that soft knock, I froze. Jess didn't even move. She just whispered, "Don't open it." Her voice cracked like she was a little kid again. The woman outside kept saying Jess's name, but not like a stranger would. She said it in this drawn-out, sing-song way, like a mom calling her child in from the yard. I whispered, "Who is she?" Jess stared at the door like it was about to explode. Finally, she said, "It's his sister. Don't open it." Ray has a sister? That was the first I'd heard of it. The woman outside started scratching at the wood, not violently, more like she was drawing patterns with her nails. It made this soft squeal that cut right through me. She said something else I couldn't catch. Just bolted up, ran to the bedroom, came back with a duffel bag she must have packed earlier. She said, "You have to go now." I was like, "Go where? We don't even know what's happening." She said, "You don't understand. This house isn't safe for you anymore. He's not just watching us, he's marking us. He thinks I took something from him." "What?" I asked. "What could you have possibly taken?" She looked at me, and in that moment, I swear I didn't recognize her. She said, "Me." I didn't get a chance to ask what she meant because the woman outside started banging hard. Not knocking anymore, fists. The whole door frame shook, and then she started laughing. We bolted for the back door. Jess shoved the duffel into my hands, telling me to get to the car. We ran across the yard, and I could feel eyes on us, like dozens of eyes, even though the street was empty. The hair on my arms was standing up. As we were about to get in the car, I looked back at the house. The front door was now open. Just standing wide like someone had kicked it in, but there was no sound, no footsteps. Jess yelled, "Don't look," but I couldn't stop, because in the hallway, silhouetted by the dim light from our kitchen, stood Ray, and he wasn't smiling anymore.
We peeled out of the driveway like a scene from a bad action movie. Jess was driving, white-knuckled on the steering wheel, hair plastered to her face with sweat. I just sat there gripping the duffel bag like it was a life jacket, staring out the window for movement. New Orleans at night is weirdly alive, even when it looks empty. The oaks hang over the streets, the lights flicker, and the air feels wet enough to drink. I kept expecting Ray's car to pull up behind us, but the street stayed empty. "Start talking," I finally said. "Right now, or I'm calling the cops, the FBI, whoever." Jess kept driving, but her lips were moving, like she was rehearsing what to say. Then she blurted it out. "Ray isn't my neighbor. He was my guardian when I was a kid. Not legally, kind of a cult leader. My mom got involved after Katrina. He called himself a caretaker. He said we were chosen to protect something." I just stared at her. "Protect what?" She gripped the wheel harder. "Me. He says I'm a vessel, that something lives in me that belongs to him. When I turned 18, I ran, changed my name, thought I was safe. But he always said he'd find me again if I set foot back here." I felt my stomach drop. And you didn't think to tell me before we bought a house 2 blocks from him? She started crying but didn't slow down. I didn't know he still lived here. I thought he was gone. He shouldn't even be alive anymore. They said he drowned. Before I could process any of that, my phone buzzed. Wise notification. Motion detected. Back door. I opened it. The feed was static. Then, for a split second, the image cleared. Our kitchen, empty except for Ray standing at the table. He had his hands pressed flat on the wood like he was praying. And then he looked up, right into the camera, and smiled. Then the feed cut. We were already on I-10 heading west when Jess's phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. It wasn't a voice. It was a whisper. My name. Over and over.
We didn't stop driving until we hit some random shell off I-10 near Baton Rouge. Jess was trembling so badly she couldn't even hold the gas pump. I parked us under the brightest light I could find, that weird yellow glare gas stations always have at night, and finally opened the duffel bag she'd shoved at me. Inside weren't clothes, no cash, no gun. It was a wooden box, old, heavy, carved with these swirling patterns like vines, but not any plant I recognized. It smelled faintly of salt water and something metallic, like blood and pennies. "What the hell is this?" I asked. Jess flinched when she saw me touch it. "Don't open it, please. That's what he wants." I snapped. "You've been dragging me into this without telling me anything. You're running from some creepy cult leader and you're carrying around his weird antique lunchbox? Explain now." She sat on the curb and finally let it out. "It's mine," she said, "or it's me. I don't even know anymore. When I was a kid, he used to make me sit with this box for hours, said it was feeding off me, said one day I'd carry it for him." I backed away, my skin crawling. "You stole it when you ran?" "I had to," she whispered. "If I didn't, he would have taken me instead." As she was talking, the wind picked up, out of nowhere, like a hot gust rolling through the gas station lot. The lights flickered and every pump beeped at once. Then my phone buzzed, another Wise notification. Motion detected, front porch this time. The thumbnail preview wasn't our house anymore. It was this gas station, our car, us. I opened it fully. The video showed Ray walking straight toward the car we were sitting in. Only when I looked up from my phone, the lot was empty. No Ray. But on the ground under the pump was a Polaroid, fresh, still developing. It was a picture of us sitting in the car, taken from outside. We left the Shell station in a panic. I don't even remember paying. I just grabbed the Polaroid and tossed it in the glove box. Jess was crying, silently now, clutching that wooden box like it was a kid. We drove north, random back roads, no GPS. I wanted to get as far from I-10 as possible. The air felt thick, like even the trees were leaning in to listen. My hands wouldn't stop shaking on the wheel. Then, somewhere near some sugarcane fields, the box started humming. I'm not kidding. A low, vibrating hum, like an old refrigerator or a beehive buried in wood. Jess started whispering, "No, no, no, no," under her breath. She put it on the floor of the car and tried to press down the lid, but it was lifting on its own, just a crack. A warm, damp smell spilled out. Salt, mud, dead flowers. "Pull over," she said. "We can't keep moving while it's awake." I didn't want to, but the sound was making my teeth ache. I pulled onto a dirt road under a dead street light. Jess put the box on the hood of the car. The lid shifted again, like something inside was pushing. "What is it?" I asked. She didn't look at me. He used to call it the seed. Said it would grow if it ever touched ground where it started. Said I was the only one it would listen to. I took a step back. What happens if it opens? She whispered. Then I'm his again. And then, in the side mirror, I saw headlights coming up the dirt road, slowly, too slowly. We both turned. An old white truck was creeping toward us. Headlights dim, engine a low growl. It stopped about 50 yards away. Someone got out. I could make out a tall, thin shape in the glare, ponytail swinging. "Get in the car," I hissed. Jess was still staring at the box. The lid was not open a full inch. And inside, something glowed faintly green, like swamp water under moonlight. The figure from the truck started walking toward us, one hand out like he was reaching for Jess even from that distance. And the humming from the box turned into a voice. It said my name.
The box was wide open now, and I swear the air bent around it. The glow inside wasn't just green anymore. It pulsed like veins of light twisting through water. The smell was unbearable, like wet earth mixed with something rotten but alive. Jess whispered, "Don't look at it," but I couldn't help myself. For a second, I saw something moving inside, pressing against the glow like a hand pushing from underwater. Ray kept coming closer. His footsteps were slow, steady, like he knew we weren't going anywhere. "Jessica," he called out, not yelling, just talking, like a father coaxing a kid. "It's time to bring her home." Jess grabbed my arm hard enough to hurt. "He's not talking about me. He's talking about it." The thing inside the box shuddered, and I heard a wet sound, like something exhaling through mud. My own name came again, louder this time, dragging at me. It didn't sound like a voice from outside. It sounded like it was already in my head. I staggered back, clutching my ears. Jess slammed the lid shut with both hands, but the wood burned her palms, literally scorched them. She screamed and fell back against the car. Ray was only a few yards away now, face lit by the glow seeping through the cracks of the box. He looked older up close, skin sagging, eyes black with something that wasn't natural. He raised his arms like a preacher and said, "You kept her from me. Now she's choosing." The box rocked on its own, sliding toward the edge of the hood. The glow spilled brighter, and for a second, I saw something climb up the inside of the lid. Not human, long, jointed fingers, slick with mud, reaching. Jess begged me not to touch it, but I couldn't let it fall. I grabbed the box to keep it steady, and the second my skin hit it, I felt it crawl under my thoughts, like hundreds of wet fingers flipping through pages of my brain. Ray started laughing, this deep, broken laugh that made the night feel heavier. And then the voice in my head changed. It wasn't saying my name anymore. It was saying Jess's, over and over. And she was answering back. I don't know if this'll even make sense, but I need to get it out before whatever happens next. The voice inside the box was calling Jess, and she wasn't resisting anymore. She stepped forward like she was sleepwalking, her burned hands reaching out. The glow hit her face, and for a second, I swear she wasn't Jess. Her eyes were glassy, her skin pale, and her mouth moved in sync with the whispers coming from inside. Ray spread his arms wider, like he'd been waiting his whole life for this. "She was always mine," he said. You were only keeping her warm for me. I shouted at Jess, begged her to stop, but she just kept moving closer. The thing in the box pressed harder against the lid, those long, slick fingers pushing through the crack, reaching for her. The sound in my head was deafening now, like a crowd chanting her name inside my skull. I grabbed the bat from the car and swung it down at the box with everything I had. The wood splintered, and for a second, the glow burst out like a flare. The sound stopped. Dead silence. And then Jess screamed, not in pain, in rage. She turned to me, eyes glowing faintly with that same swamp light, and hissed, "You weren't supposed to do that." Her voice wasn't hers anymore. It was layered, like two people speaking at once. Ray fell to his knees, sobbing, clutching the broken pieces like a man watching his god die. But Jess didn't collapse. She stood taller, stronger, the light inside her now, not in the box. She looked at Ray and said, "You don't own me anymore." Then she looked at me, and for a split second I saw my wife, the real Jess behind her eyes, begging me silently. But then it was gone. She walked past me toward Ray. He reached for her like a child, and she touched his forehead with one glowing hand. His body stiffened, then crumpled like paper in a fire. Gone. Just gone. Now, it's just me and her. She's sitting in the passenger seat as I type this on my phone, staring out the window, hands still glowing faintly. She hasn't spoken in an hour. I don't know if Jess is still in there or if I'm driving next to something else. But she turned to me just now and smiled, and the voice in my head said, "Thank you for setting me free."